So many questions, so little time. Yo guys, what is going on? Pandrea here. Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are going over some questions that you guys had for me posted on my Instagram. And now I figured I'm gonna answer those questions because that only seems fair. I post pretty much daily over there, so you'll get sneak peeks of things on my Instagram that maybe you don't get here on these videos. I post a lot of my travel as well, at least I used to. I'm just kind of stuck here. It feels super weird because I've been traveling for many years and now I'm in one place for more than a few weeks. So it's definitely a learning curve, but I've been getting a lot done, so that's good. Hope you are as well. Now, before we get started with the video, if you have your questions, go ahead, leave a comment below. I will take a look at that. And in the next videos, I'm gonna start taking questions also from YouTube. So go ahead, leave your questions below and I'll be sure to answer them hopefully in one of the next videos. All right, let's get into some questions. What do we got? What is your favorite deck that isn't Nox? That's a very reasonable question because every time I have a new deck of Nox released, I say these are my favorite ones. So with that aside, and I'm assuming this would mean decks produced by other people. I think Dan and Dave produce the best decks out there. They've produced so many, but some of my favorites are the Hollingworth decks. I was really obsessed with especially the burgundy version one. I thought that was very cool. And some old school decks like the Conjuring Arts put out the Erdnase edition, which weirdly enough was designed by Guy Hollingworth as well. So I guess I kind of have a thing for Guy Hollingworth decks. How can I get a signed deck? Alright, so the way to get a signed deck, I get DMs and questions everywhere about, hey, can I get a deck signed? Unfortunately, the only way to get a deck signed is either to meet me or if I'm doing like a promotion on one of my websites where I pre-sign decks. The only reason for this is not that I wouldn't want to, but my warehouse of where we ship the decks from is in Texas and I'm all over the place. So a lot of the times when we release decks, they get sent from the United States Playing Card Company where we print them to Texas to my warehouse where they get shipped out. I get one deck for me or two decks sent to me for photos. I take all the photos for the decks. So therefore, unfortunately, I cannot sign decks with all releases, but sometimes I do. So how good are you at doing the clip shift? Not that great, not the worst, but not perfect. Clip shift is a very hard move, and I remember when it came on the scene, it was a very revolutionary type of move. Everybody and their mother wanted to learn it. I think I actually started teaching my mom the clip shift. But yeah, I mean, I could do it. Do I use it often? Not really. How do you practice? Easy question. So really that depends on what I'm practicing. If I'm just practicing sleight of hand techniques with a deck of cards, I would usually have a deck of cards while I watch TV or something, or have a deck always with me on my desk. If I have my computer and I'm working, or if I'm editing while I'm waiting for things to render, I would pick up the deck and practice a move subconsciously. I don't really think about it too much nowadays since I'm not really learning anything new that I need to practice for hours. But I remember back when I was in college and I would take the subway to school. It would be almost an hour ride to school and back from school. I would have a deck of cards in my hand and I would stand in front of the door where the reflection was and practice things like raise rise and the pass, and I would practice for an hour each day, one sleight. So I was definitely very vigorous when it came to practicing before. Now I'm taking it a little bit more lightly because I have a lot of the core material of what I need, but of course you should never stop practicing, so I do often try to practice a few things here and there that are new and challenging. I think that's important. When will you come to India? Please do come here. You have many fans here. Thank you so much for the question, and I appreciate all the Indian fans out there. I would love to come to India. India is almost at the top of my list right now of places that I haven't been. I've knocked off so many places on my list that I wanted to go there, and I finally did. Just never had the chance to come to India, but I am in talks with my good friend over at Magic Encarta, and I think we're gonna put together once all of this stuff is over and we can finally leave the house again. So look forward to it in the next, I would say, few years maybe. What is your favorite color change? I think my favorite color change has to be the paintbrush change. just because it's super natural to do. And for me, sleight of hand in card magic is very important for it to make it look natural. If you're doing too many weird things where you're just like covering too much or not making it seem like you're not doing anything in the card changes, I think then that's when the spectator thinks, hey, you know, oh, you're so quick with the hands. So I think the paintbrush change is one of just a few color changes that you can leave out in the open, and then the card changes. So I think that should be up there. Have you ever thought about doing a villain knock series? Yes, that will be part of the Super Knock line. I have a few designs mocked up already for a villain series. I think it'll be fun. Can you come meet me in my school, please? What is the most difficult technique you have ever learned? Great question, and that sort of goes back to what I said earlier. I used to practice every day on the subway, and I remember a span of one semester, actually probably longer than that, where I practiced one sleight every day, back and forth, an hour each way, and that was the anti-pharaoh. Anti-pharaoh was super hard to get down, especially to make it perfect, because in my mind I wanted to do it perfect. Now there are many uses for the anti-pharaoh that when looking at this move, especially reading it for the first time, I read it in Genie magazine, it was a move that you think has no use, right? I've come up with many, and many people have come up with different uses for the anti-pharaoh, really good ones too. One of the best things I do is with an anti-pharaoh. A lot of people say there's no point of trying to do it perfect. You're right, there is no point of trying to do it perfect besides trying to do it perfect. But I think that says to your determination and just the action behind trying to perfect something, why not try to do it perfect? Even if you don't have use for it, it will set you up for that sort of mentality that I have to get it right, I have to get it just right, this is not good enough. And just settling for something that is just good enough, I don't think should be the overall game plan in our head, especially in this industry where there's so many mediocre magicians. And this, hey, this is just good enough, that'll pass. That mentality is reinforced when you try to get something perfect. So with that being said, anti-pharaoh was definitely hard. It took about 6 months to get right, but now I could, do it perfect sometimes. What was the first magic book you bought, and how did you start into magic? Please answer. First magic book I bought was most likely The Card Magic of Paul, and it was a great book. I bought it probably close to 20 years now, and in that book there's things that we use even today, like the Paul spread and a flourish and a pass, which we all know as the spread pass. So I learned a lot of initial card magic from that book, and that book didn't start me in card magic, but it was around the same time that I got into card magic. It was in a small shop in Queens, New York, where I bought that book from, and that's sort of the era of when I started card magic. Why are you so sexy? That is a hard question to answer. Can we expect a new Knock signature deck, and when will it be released? Yes, I would love to collaborate. We have plans to collaborate with a lot of people in the magic industry. It just has to be the right timing for both of us. Here's a question for you guys. If we were to do a new signature deck for the Knocks, who would it be? Of course, the last one we did was the amazing Shin Lim. So go ahead, leave your comments below on who should we collaborate with for a new Knock signature deck. What do you think the most common mistakes, pitfalls a beginner magician makes? Great question. It's always super important to learn the mistakes of others rather than going through the mistakes yourself. Even though it does create some sort of a learning curve, if you do go out, make the mistakes, then you go, yes, all right, I know this is the mistake, I know not to do it. And with that being said, just keep in mind there's no reason to fear making mistakes, no matter what you do. In this case, we're talking about magic performance, but I think it's important to keep that in mind, because if you are afraid of making mistakes, then that's just going to keep you from trying new things and going for your full potential in performing new material or taking chances or things like that. So if you're fearing making mistakes, first and foremost, don't. Go out there, make mistakes, and you'll only be better for that. With that being said, what are some of the pitfalls and mistakes that magicians have? I think is not going out enough and not trying new things and testing out either new material or taking chances because they are comfortable with what they know and being comfortable with what you know. You know, I'm just gonna do a double lift, put in their hand, snap my fingers, and then there you have it. That is not the way to grow in your skills, in your performance aspect, in your persona, in your confidence. Everything that could potentially make you a better performer is being suppressed, and you will never really grow this way. So I think that's the one mistake, just not really going out and trying new things and taking chances and really going out there to better yourself. Just never be satisfied with what you already have, you know, not just in magic, but with everything. If you're satisfied and you're complacent, then you become bored, then you're just doing it just to do, you know, it doesn't matter what it is. So always strive for more. I think that's a good mindset. And it starts with something as simple as wanting just to be a better, you know, magician. All right, guys, there you have it. That was the video, some of your questions being answered here. I'll try to do these as often as possible, maybe every few weeks. If you did like this video, guys, and you learned something, please go ahead, hit the like button. I would really appreciate that. Leave your comments below, share it if you can, and of course, subscribe if you haven't, because we have a lot of content coming up. Thank you so much, everyone, and we will see you shortly in the next video. Peace.